The greatest leap you can make in your life is not external, it's internal. It begins with a brutally honest audit of your own reality. Most people lie to themselves daily. They dress up excuses as reasons, soften the truth so it doesn't hurt as much, and cling to comforting illusions rather than face the raw facts. But growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in clarity. Ask yourself, are you truly working as hard as you believe? Or are you simply filling time with distractions and calling it effort? Are you actually improving in the areas that matter? Or have you been stuck at the same level for years, convincing yourself you're progressing because you're busy? Do you chalk up your struggles to bad luck? Or is it possible you're making poor decisions and blaming the universe to protect your ego? None of this requires cruelty. It requires accuracy. You cannot repair a problem you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot sharpen a skill you pretend is already sharp enough. And you cannot break patterns if you're unwilling to admit they exist. The scoreboard of life doesn't care about your intentions or your feelings. Results don't lie. They show you exactly where you stand. Think about this. If you've been trying to lose weight, build a business, or master a craft for years with no visible progress, that's not persistence. It's a clear sign your method is broken. Working harder at the wrong approach doesn't solve the issue. It accelerates the waste of time. Imagine driving for hours in the wrong direction. Does pushing the gas pedal down harder make you arrive at your destination? No, it only takes you further from it. Yet countless people exhaust themselves in this exact way, working long hours, hustling endlessly, and then wondering why nothing changes. They confuse effort with effectiveness. The real question you should be asking isn't, am I trying hard enough? But rather, is what I'm doing actually working? If the answer is no, stop immediately. Shift, adapt, experiment, find a strategy that works. That's how you move forward. Now let's talk about identity. The invisible prison most people don't even realize they're locked inside. How often have you heard someone say, that's just who I am? Maybe you've said it yourself. I'm not a morning person. I've never been creative. I'm too shy. I'm naturally disorganized. These aren't truths. They're habits, repeated so often they feel permanent. But in reality, you become whoever you practice being. If you consistently wake up early, over time you become a morning person. If you consistently choose confidence in small moments, you become confident. Your brain doesn't distinguish between who you are and who you are rehearsing to be. It just automates whatever pattern you reinforce. The tragic cost of clinging to a rigid identity is stagnation. You stay the same person you've always been, which means you stay stuck in the same life you've always lived. As Machiavelli once noted, those who wish for continued success must adapt with the times. The version of you that got you here will not be the version that takes you further. Another hard truth, if you don't learn to guard your time and energy, the world will drain them for you. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. Not every person deserves your energy. Growth requires saying no, yet people confuse kindness with constant availability. They think being good means being endlessly accommodating, but every yes to things that don't matter is a no to your own potential. Every hour you waste on meaningless obligations is an hour stolen from what could transform your future. This is not selfishness, it's strategy. To protect your growth, you must be willing to disappoint some people, set boundaries, prioritize your future over someone else's temporary comfort. Some will call it selfish, but understand this. Your growth benefits everyone around you. Your stagnation benefits no one. If you sacrifice your dreams to please others, you serve neither them nor yourself. So, how do you break free from these invisible chains? Awareness is the first step, but awareness alone changes nothing. You need strategies, practical, consistent actions that rewrite the stories in your head. Start with a weekly audit. At the end of each week, ask yourself, what beliefs guided my decisions? What evidence supports those beliefs? Did they move me forward or hold me back? Writing this down forces clarity. Patterns emerge. You'll notice the same sabotaging beliefs showing up again and again. Without conscious review, you repeat them for decades. Here's another exercise. Challenge your strongest beliefs by arguing their opposite. If you think you're not creative, collect proof that you are. Every moment of problem solving, every original idea, every time you surprise yourself with innovation. If you think you can't learn quickly, gather examples of times you picked up new skills fast. Your brain doesn't want to do this because it hates contradiction, but lean into that discomfort. That's the birthplace of transformation. Next, track everything. Don't trust your perception of how hard you're working. Measure it. Track how many focused hours you actually spend producing, not just being busy. Record how often you follow through on your habits versus how often you abandon them. Monitor your practice sessions if you're building a skill. Data has a way of shattering illusions. Numbers cut through excuses. When you see cold, hard evidence, you can no longer lie to yourself. Then there's the power of demanding proof. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good at this, stop and ask, where's the evidence? Did you actually try? For how long? With what strategy? Most limiting beliefs collapse the moment they're interrogated. They usually come from a handful of negative experiences that you've exaggerated into an identity. Challenge those beliefs to stand trial. If they can't provide evidence, they don't deserve space in your mind. Outside perspective is another weapon. You cannot see yourself clearly because your perception is biased. That's why you need people who are willing to tell you the truth, even when it stings. Ask someone you trust, what's one false belief I carry about myself? Then listen without defending. Your ego will resist, but remember, your ego is what's been keeping you stuck. From there, take small but deliberate actions to shatter your limiting beliefs. Pick one belief each week and do something that directly contradicts it. If you think you're not creative, make something, no matter how rough. If you think you're not athletic, move your body intentionally every day. If you think you're too old to start something, take the very first step right now. The point isn't to be perfect. It's to plant seeds of doubt in the false stories you've been telling yourself. Here's a powerful perspective shift. Run the 5-year test. Imagine you keep your current beliefs exactly as they are for the next 5 years. Where will you be? If you keep saying you're not creative, how many years will pass before you finally express yourself? If you keep saying you're too old, how much older will you be when you eventually realize it was a lie all along? If you keep insisting you have to figure everything out alone, how much time will you waste? The truth is simple. 5 years will come either way. The only question is whether you'll spend them repeating your current limitations or rewriting your story. Another method, find proof of possibility. For every belief holding you back, find someone who crushed it. Think you're too old? Search for someone older who started from scratch and succeeded. Think people from your background don't achieve certain things. Find an example who did. Think talent is required. Study those who built greatness through practice. The world is filled with counterexamples to your excuses, but only if you're willing to look. And watch your language, because the way you talk to yourself shapes the reality you live in. Every time you say, I can't, you reinforce permanence. Replace it with, I haven't learned yet. Every time you say, I'm not good at this, change it to, I'm improving in this skill. These shifts aren't fluffy affirmations. They are accurate reflections of growth. Your brain absorbs whatever you repeat. Stop repeating lies. Start repeating possibilities. Finally, create a belief inventory. Sit down and write every single belief you have about yourself, good, bad, or neutral. Then dissect them. Where did this belief come from? Does it serve you or sabotage you? Is there real evidence for it? Or is it just an old echo from your childhood, a careless comment from someone else, or society's conditioning? You'll be shocked at how many of your so-called truths are hand-me-downs you never questioned. Question them now. At the end of the day, knowing all this isn't enough. Awareness without application is useless. You can watch 100 videos, read dozens of books, nod in agreement at every insight, and still stay stuck if you don't act. Real change begins when you challenge a belief this week, not someday. Write down the one belief that has held you hostage the longest and commit to one specific action that disproves it. Not tomorrow, not when life feels easier. This week. Because every week you delay is another week of wasted potential. The most dangerous person isn't the one who knows nothing. It's the one who believes they already know everything. Growth begins the moment you dare to question what you're certain about. Your potential isn't gone. It isn't dead. It's buried beneath years of unexamined beliefs. The question you must answer now is, are you ready to dig it out? Why are you still in the exact same place you were months ago? Pause for a moment and actually confront that question. You've devoured countless videos. You've flipped through endless books. You've scribbled notes, highlighted lines, and nodded in agreement with every lesson that resonated. By now, you know exactly what steps you should be taking. Yet somehow, your actions never line up with that knowledge. Why? Because the prison that keeps you trapped isn't out there. It's inside of you. It's built from quiet, invisible beliefs that sabotage you without you even noticing. The painful part, you carry those beliefs like armor, not realizing that they're the very chains keeping you from becoming who you're supposed to be. There exists a version of you that is sharper, more capable, more fearless, a version who actually lives the life you keep imagining late at night when no one else is watching. But between the person you are today and the person you could become, there's a thick, immovable wall. And here's the brutal truth. You lay down every single brick yourself. Each one is made of assumptions, half-truths, and comfortable lies disguised as facts. You've been tricked into mistaking fear for wisdom, excuses for logic, hesitation for safety. Niccolo Machiavelli once said, "The greatest deception men suffer is from their own opinions." That's exactly what's happening. You've been fooled, not by the world, but by the stories you whisper to yourself every day. Let me ask you something. How many times this week have you muttered some version of these phrases? I'm just not naturally good at that. I'm too old to start now. That's not who I am. I'll wait until I'm ready. Sound familiar? They roll off the tongue so easily, almost as if they're objective truths written in stone. But they're not truths at all. They're polished excuses. Excuses so well crafted that they feel wise when really, they're the anchors weighing down your entire future. Here's the reality check most people don't want to hear. What's holding you back isn't the economy, your boss, your family, or some mysterious bad luck. It's you. More specifically, it's the stories you've been loyal to, the ones you defend like sacred scripture, when in reality, they're nothing more than fragile lies. You cradle these lies because they keep you safe, they keep you comfortable, but they also keep you small. And as long as you hold them close, you will never break into the version of yourself you're meant to be. Today, we're going to rip these beliefs apart. We're going to uncover the mental traps that have been secretly steering your life. And then I'll give you the tools to dismantle them piece by piece. But I need to be upfront with you. This will not feel good. Growth never feels good. It burns. It bruises. It shatters the illusions that make you feel secure. Most people nod their heads when they hear the truth, maybe even feel inspired for a few minutes. And then they walk right back into their comfortable cage. Don't let that be you. If you truly want to break free, then say it out loud or write it down where the world can see. I choose truth over comfort. Let's start by understanding how your brain tricks you. See, your mind isn't just a neutral observer, it's a biased editor. Right now, you aren't seeing the world as it is. You're seeing a filtered version that validates everything you already believe. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. If you decided you're terrible at languages, your brain hoards every memory of you stumbling over vocabulary, forgetting a phrase, or mispronouncing a word. But the moments where you understood something quickly, the dozens of words you actually learned, those get quietly deleted. Why? Because they don't support your story. Or maybe you convinced yourself you're not creative. Instantly, your brain shines a spotlight on every dull idea you've ever had, every failed attempt at originality, every blank page. Meanwhile, the times you solved a problem in a clever way or surprised yourself with insight get erased from the record. You don't notice them because your identity is too busy protecting its lie. This is why so many people remain trapped for decades. They don't live in reality. They live in an edited reality. a highlight reel of failure that keeps their limits intact. But then there's the opposite problem, optimism bias. This is the trick that makes you think disaster is for other people, not you. I don't need to save money. Things always work out until an emergency wipes you out. I don't need to learn new skills. My job is secure until layoffs hit. I'll be fine without preparation until you're not. You convince yourself that consequences are for someone else, yet life doesn't care about your bias. Life keeps moving forward, brutally indifferent to your wishful thinking. Here's another brutal trap, the Dunning-Kruger effect. A little knowledge makes people dangerously confident. You read 3 articles and suddenly think you've mastered an entire field. You achieve one small victory and believe you've cracked the code of success. This mindset strangles real growth. Why push deeper if you're already convinced you've arrived? Why practice with intention if you think you're already doing it perfectly? Why seek guidance if you believe you know more than the teacher? People waste entire years confidently repeating the same mistakes, too proud to humble themselves, too fragile to accept they're still beginners. And finally, we face belief perseverance. Even when reality slaps you in the face with proof that you're wrong, you cling to the old story anyway. You twist facts, cherry pick rare exceptions, bend reality just enough to keep your lie intact. You'd rather lose in real life than lose the argument in your head. This is mental gymnastics at its finest, and it costs you more than you realize. Because every time you refuse to admit you were wrong, you forfeit the chance to grow. Now, let's get practical. Let's talk about the exact lies that are sabotaging your growth right now. Lie number 1. You're either talented or you're not. This single belief has murdered more dreams than failure ever could. You see someone excel in an area and instantly assume they were born with it. Gifted, special, different. You convince yourself you could never do what they do. But here's the truth. That so-called gifted person spent hours grinding while you were busy scrolling. They stumbled and failed more times than you even attempted. They pushed through pain while you backed out at the first discomfort. You see the polished end result, not the bloody battlefield it took to get there. Think about it. Every skill you have now, you once sucked at. Reading, writing, walking, talking, driving. You weren't born with them. You struggled, practiced, failed, and got better. That's how every skill works. Yet somewhere along the way, you bought into the myth that certain abilities are off limits for you. I'm not good with tech. I'm not athletic. I'm not artistic. Based on what? A bad experience or two? Someone else's careless words? Those aren't facts. They're excuses. The reality is simple. Skills can be learned. Every single one. But only if you stop using talent as your shield. Lie number 2. If it's meant to be, it should come easily. Social media has poisoned us with highlight reels. You see the glamorous wins, but never the years of hidden struggle. You try something new for a few weeks, maybe a couple months. It feels hard, progress is slow, and instantly you conclude, maybe this isn't for me. Wrong. Difficulty isn't the signal to quit. It's the proof you're on the right track. The people you admire, they fail more times than you've even dared to try. That athlete who dominates now, they were once cut from teams, ridiculed, doubted, and injured. That writer whose book you love, rejected dozens of times. That creator with millions of followers, they posted in the void for years before anyone cared. What separates them from you isn't talent or luck. It's that they didn't walk away when it got hard. Line number 3, I'll start when I'm ready. This is fear in disguise. I'm not ready is just another way of saying, I'm scared. The uncomfortable truth is you will never feel completely ready. Readiness is a myth. Every meaningful transformation starts before you feel prepared. You jump in, you stumble, you figure it out as you go. Waiting to feel ready means waiting forever. Meanwhile, the people who start imperfectly lap you in progress. By the time you finally move, they've already built years of momentum. Line number 4, I already know enough. Nothing kills growth faster than disillusion. The moment you stop learning, the world starts leaving you behind. What worked yesterday might be useless today. Industries change, skills expire, opportunities evolve. If you're not learning constantly, you're quietly falling behind every single day. But egos hate that feeling of not knowing. So instead of humbly learning, people pretend. They cling to outdated methods, defend obsolete knowledge, and stagnate while the world moves forward. On the flip side, others fall into endless learning with no action, reading 50 books but never applying a single page, watching hundreds of videos but never executing. Both traps keep you frozen. Growth only happens when you balance learning with doing. Line number 5. I have to do this alone. This belief might be the most destructive of all. The myth of the self-made person has fooled generations. Nobody, and I mean nobody, reaches significant success without guidance, help, or influence from others. Behind every achievement is a mentor, a teacher, a friend, a book, or a stranger whose knowledge shaped the path. Yet pride makes you resist asking for help. You equate seeking guidance with weakness. But the truth, refusing help isn't strength, it's sabotage. Wisdom is learning from those who already walked the path. Every one of these lies has a price. They steal years of your life. They bury your potential. They blind you to opportunities that could have been yours. And worst of all, they leave you with the heavy regret of knowing it wasn't the world that stopped you, it was you. So here's the challenge. Stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Stop bowing to these fragile lies. Declare your new affirmations and live them. I choose truth over comfort. I am always growing. Difficult means I'm growing. I start now, imperfectly. I learn and then do. You're not trapped because the world is cruel. You're trapped because of the cage you keep rebuilding in your own mind. Tear it down, brick by brick. Why is it that some people spend years circling the same problem, making tiny gains that vanish at the first obstacle, while others break through in months? The answer is rarely intelligence or talent, it's mindset. I've seen people struggle for 2, 3, even 5 years on something they could have mastered much faster, all because they carried the heavy burden of pride. They believed that asking for guidance was a sign of weakness, that they had to figure it all out alone. But the moment they humbled themselves enough to learn from someone who had already walked the path, everything shifted. What felt impossible suddenly became clear. In just a few months, they advanced more than they had in years of trial and error, not because they suddenly became smarter, but because they stopped trying to reinvent the wheel. They chose progress over ego. The painful cost of pride is wasted years, time that could have been invested in actual growth instead of repeating avoidable mistakes. And here's the irony. Many successful people genuinely want to share their wisdom. They want to help, but you only gain access to that wisdom if you are humble enough to ask. Most never do, and so they stay stuck. Let's get real for a moment.